Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Biblio Fitness. Hope everyone's having a great day. This is the second day of my deload. I'm not really missing it. We're gonna be completely honest here. I am watching the videos and a lot of gains have been made, but yeah, I definitely needed a little break. It feels good. So today, I just finished Peoples and Fatherlands, and now I'm moving on to What is Noble and Beyond Good and Evil. And the point that is being made by Nietzsche could be easily it could be easily used to describe the modern world, you know what I'm saying, to what we are living in, and that's what it's all about, really, right? Experience. So, and the reason you can is because he goes on to talk about in Peoples and Fatherlands and stuff like that, how, you know, these different regions, different countries, based on who they bred with and mass, you know, a lot of eugenics sounding stuff. But, you know, this intermingling has caused this democratization of Europe, this mediocrity, you know, listening to the plight of the many over the few. So it's been a very interesting, and those concepts in themselves are quite interesting, right? Like a fight against the nobility, a fight against nature, right? That's been the whole premise of civilization, especially, is this running away from nature. And Nietzsche says that is running away from life, like saying no to life instead of embracing life, all its flaws according to the prevailing morality. But it's just it's a very astute observation, like, as always, you know, the way that he is able to talk about these things and make them like talk about regions, and talk about France, and talk about England, and how it's needed that people that are so boring and so overly rational, that have no spirit and don't have any depth of spirit or understanding, could be so boring and rational and always systematizing and always trying to find the little details. Like, and then he talks about Darwin, for example, and he says that, you know, people of a higher nature are not going to be doing these sort of things because they're going away from systems and creating new values and discovering new values. They're not going to be finding facts from very little known sources or whatever. That's up to mediocre men, those who follow behind and try to, like, put everything in order and try to level everything out. So he, you know, and how he talks about, you know, Germany, how, you know, people used to think Germany was very what is it? Oh God, deep in wisdom. You know, I forgot the word right now, but as very wise because of its multiplicity, of its disinterestedness, of the fact that it really didn't have an identity. It goes from different identities and so on. And what I really wanted, you know, I'm not really going to go ahead and talk about this too much, but the reason that I said that is because it does do a lot with what the concepts could be for the prevailing rhetoric, you know, the prevailing rhetoric that is considered as good in our culture, right? It is a plight of the few, of the many against the few, right? It is a revolt of the masses. It is a revolt of the disgruntled, the desperate, the disparate, the ones that have given up, the true pessimists of the world, because they have completely rejected the constructs of the world, right? They're completely in revolt of it. That's what they're in. That's what is their stance. And it makes sense how this is all coming into play, because this nation is built on you know, the whole premise of a nation of immigrants, a nation of people that left struggle, left strife, were probably at the bottom of the barrel in the social stratum in which they were born in, right? And they fled to these other places in order to construct a new life, to have a new opportunity. That's the whole dream, the American dream that was sold. And then it's continued to be sold, of course, even through all the hypocrisy being so blatant today, thanks to social media, you know. Definitely a plus side on that one. So, but that whole, you know, Nietzsche really does bring that to light, how it's a nation of sufferers, right? A nation that is going to want to abolish suffering. And of course, an aristocracy was made, because that's just the natural order of things, if you really think about it. is that there is a hierarchy. There are people that no matter what government, no matter what system, are going to be able to figure it out and use it to their advantage in order to get to the upper echelons of power, because at the end of the day, it is a will to power. And people want to establish influence and force and dominance and be revered and, to the people, be a man above others, the first among equals type shit, Mr. like the precepts of old, which of course are not the only example, but it's lost my train of thought here for a second. But yeah, it the way that it is now, right? There was this natural hierarchy that took place, and it is still taking place. But due to social media, due to everything coming together, due to being a gratification of others, and doing it being that it has allowed a lot of people with no talent and nothing to give productively to society that they preached or are part of, have been able to reach a level of admiration that they have no business being in, right? We have a whole lot of disgruntled people now being given a voice and being taken seriously, like those people who called us that like to work out fat phobic because they weigh over 300 pounds, trying to make excuses, try to say that they don't do it because, oh, but look at you, you're so skinny, or look at us, like they try to excuse it in such a way. And you could see it on all these excuses as a way to vindicate their terrible behavior, as a way to moralize, therefore, put on a pedestal that which makes them a weak human being. It's a slave morality, right? To be fat, to be docile, to be stupid, to, the fact that, people that should not have a voice are given a voice. People are given the delusion that everyone is equal, and there is that, and this revolt is just a natural conclusion of these sort of emotions, right? The sort of resentment that is eventually going to boil over as events continue to transpire. And it's very blatant how they try to take the moral ground. They try to take the moral standing. They try to, just like Christianity, just like Judaism, just like Islam, just like every other fucking religion, they moralize the actions and the behaviors that are going to further advance their existence, like put them at the height, put them at the role of masters and no longer as slaves. And that is a rhetoric that's going on today, and it really just shows you the fakery, for example, of Dr. Jordan Peterson, for example, is that you read Nietzsche, you know that this is a ramification of putting everyone, giving everyone a voice and telling everyone that, hey, you matter and everything that you say matters just as much as anybody else. And yet you want to go back to Christianity that is going to do the same fucking thing. It just really shows that you're just trying to get more views, I think you know the truth, but you don't want to say it. Because you probably think most people are stupid and can't handle it, which I completely agree with, of course. It's just, bro, how the fuck, I don't know how this guy does it. It's really fascinating how this man is able to come up with this shit. Really look through the veil, because it's very difficult, to look through ideology, and because you live it, right? It's so interwoven into your being, people actually believe that you were born with this, right? For example, which can't be possible, of course. And it's probably an argument that Nietzsche would agree with, is that there are these natural inclinations of people that will want to take the side of relieving of suffering and those that want to embrace suffering. There's always this slave and master morality, as he likes to call, which is definitely something that I'm probably going to talk about later on, but that's really what it all comes down to, is you are going to revere or put in or champion the virtues that are going to benefit your class and your way of life as a way to exist. And it just makes sense. It's very cynical the way to look at it, but it's true. You know, people want to make it seem like we're really deeper than we really are, but that's really what it boils down to, right? Like you need, yes, the whole point of purpose is to find a justification of your existence, right? That's the whole point. You need that. That's something that you have to answer, and these are the things that Christianity and other things deprive you of, and you have to accept them in order to be brought a purpose. Like value is bestowed upon you instead of creating your own value. These are very just astute contrast between the slave and master morality, and what she finally gets to. Now, what I'm reading in What is Noble? Is that what I'm, yeah. That what is noble, that the distinction across these different religions and philosophies of the master slave morality, right? And I don't feel like I'm completely qualified to talk about it fully, as this is the first time that I completely read, and he's blatantly said it, like obviously throughout the entire course of the fucking book. It's basically been this contrast, this outline of what separates the winners from the losers in reality, right? The hunters and the hunted. That's really what this whole book has been about. But you know, what I mean is that in the whole slave and master morality, it's brought up and extrapolated in other literature, you know, of his. And I'm going to read I'm going to read Twilight of the Idols and the Antichrist after this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish this book by the end of the week. I'm almost there. But you know, be that as it may, you know, it really simplifies and makes it obvious how these two things contrast, right? Like this nation and this society that we have now in the United States, those who want to abolish suffering, level everything out. Um, you know, those sort of people that even villainize instincts, right? Villainize and ascribe the word evil onto masculinity, for example, a will to dominate, a will to force, a will to conquer, all these things that make you human, all these things that have these qualities that were the foundations for every single epoch, a great epoch of humanity, right? Like it's because of those traits that we made it here, not because of pity, not because of humility, not because of love for one another and selflessness. No, it was ambition, it was pride, it was exploitation. And that's what he really talks about in Noble. Is holy shit, it's so fucking true. Like we extol these bullshit virtues when in reality it's the complete opposite, the antithesis of those values in which propel humanity forward. But these things themselves are being classified as evil, right? Nowadays, you know, as a man to be masculine, as a man that knows his place and knows his role and knows, you know, wants to put women in a role, for example, be traditional in that sense, and call to tradition, are seen as vile human beings. Like, why are you calling it to tradition? You know, and I've said this before, that this really is a society that is a suffering, that is castrating itself, that is a beast upon itself. It's cruel. You know, we're always being reminded of how terrible we are, how bullshit and multi-faced and evil we are. You know, that's what we're told all the time, and that's what's told in these religions that cater to the sufferers and cater on to their or hone in on their that sort of feeling, that sort of resentment of life. Is it's pretty remarkable, the revolt in that, and how, you know, the Jesus, but it's just really cool how, you know, it brings it to light, the contrast, you know, how the abolition and wanting to, you know, put everyone in a black and white banner and to be the moral high ground and not to be the sufferers, in which it all makes sense, you know, that you have no right to say anything if your people haven't been oppressed, if you are the ruling class, you have no right to say anything. Like, you know, it is an attempt at the inversion of values once again. To be the moral high ground, to be the epitome of morality, is that what put you in your bullshit place in the first place, right? So There's a lot to compare to here, how it is a domination of the slave morality, how it is a domination of those decrepit fools who are at the bottom of the barrel are now given the highest, are now be put at the highest echelons of authority and respectability, and people have to listen to them, and people have to suck their dick on social media, when in reality they should be relegated to the shadows. They should not even be talked about. They should not even be mentioned. Their existence should not be acknowledged. But we can no longer think that way because the rule of compassion and pity has really taken over this world, right? So, as the more you read Nietzsche, the more I make this all this bullshit begins to make so much more sense, and why the phrase "history repeats itself consistently" rings true, right? It's this constant revolt, but at the end, they continue to follow the same patterns because we're all human beings. It's just different banners. So I love this, man. I can't wait to finish this shit. It's been an amazing ride, and how I'm looking at shit so differently now. Like, I was watching The Office yesterday, and I was watching the Benihana Christmas in season 3, and you know how there was, like, I don't know if you ever watched The Office, bro. You suck. So it's just I'm gonna hit you with that right there. The Office is this shit. But there is that instance that really threw it rubbed me the wrong way that I never thought possible, was when in that episode, there's the separation of the party planning committees because Angela is a stuck up bitch and doesn't accept new rules, doesn't accept new values, doesn't accept any new ideas, very rigid, very opposed to new, very obstinate. And then be against Karen's ideas from another place. This I guess invasion of new ideas is rebuffed by her rigidity. I guess you can look at it that way. Me being a wannabe moralizer, I suppose, right? So moral wannabe philosopher, but it is what it is. It's fun. And how they separate, right? Because she rejected all these new ideas. So Karen and Pam come up with a new party planning committee. They have new martini. They have margaritas, like frozen margaritas and stuff. And most people go there. And Angela's party is a complete rut, complete boring. Everyone's just sitting there. There's a contrast of where the pleasure and where the boredom and pain resides. But at the end, these two acquiesce and feel pity. Pity rules. Pity is the ultimate emotion. Looking at this woman all beaten because no one's at her party, at her boring ass party. But pity tells them, oh, you know what? Let her be involved in the group. She deserves to have her place, even though she's a bitch. It's kind of amazing how that theme is rung across so many different spectrums, across all facets of reality. Even in your favorite shows, it's pretty cool how I'm able to see that now. I was just looking at that. I was just watching The Office yesterday, completely mind fogged. It's really cool, man. And that's why I've decided to get the Sith mantra tattooed on me whenever that's possible. Got some stuff in the works that have to be taken care of before I get another tattoo. Got to be responsible, right? Can't be acting on impulses. So I'll leave you guys with that. I hope you all make amazing games. I hope it provided you with some sort of entertainment. Well, I love you all. I hope you all be safe. Make beautiful games. Hope you all get to read as well. Beyond Good and Evil. Wow, it's been a game changer. It's been a life changer, to say the least. So hope you all be safe, and hope you all get to read it if you haven't already. Love you all, and peace.